Graham Lloyd is the environment editor of the Australian newspaper, and he joins us now to talk about this and a whole lot more. Graham, again, how dare the Prime Minister talk about cost of transition? How dare the Prime Minister point out what the Greens might do if they become the tail that wags Albo's dog in government? And we see yet again more evidence, and via your reporting, about how coal-fired power stations are going to be blown up early in Australia. What does that actually mean in terms of the short-term process as we start to make this transition?
Well, what it means, Paul, is that the costs every time baseload power, whether it's nuclear in Europe or coal in Australia, whenever that's removed from the system, the price goes up. You alluded to France a minute ago. In fact, there's been an epiphany right across Europe where they've been forced to return to coal because the price of gas has gone up, and they'll now say that nuclear and gas will qualify as a green fuel for investment. What we have in Australia is that coal is demonised as an investment. AGL, the biggest power supplier, has said, well, it has no future in the business that it's in. So 8% of the nation's electricity generation, which is in Victoria and New South Wales, will be closing early. New South Wales will be closed around 2030 and Victoria about 10 years later. And what's required is the plan to keep everything moving and to keep prices down. You say, people need to be told what to expect they'll pay, but the truth is nobody knows what they're going to have to pay because they don't know how it's going to be done. So this is a problem right across the world. In Britain, they're in uproar now because of the cost of their transition policies. There was some very good analysis released only a week ago by the Australian Electricity Group, and they said that, look, the correlation between environmental policies and power prices is obvious. The highest cost countries for electricity have the most impositions from green policies. So the cost is the many, many trillions of dollars. And the unfortunate thing is that it's really being embarked upon without a plan.
Well, and what I find most irritating about this, it's not a conversation about the existence of climate change. Climate change exists, right? And I don't care if that annoys you. That's the truth, okay? You can't have billions of people. I'm not talking about you, Graham. I'm saying to the people who might be watching you get frustrated, right? You can't have billions of people on the planet, multiple industrial revolutions, and something not happen to what would have otherwise happened if we weren't here, okay? That's just logical. But what I find misleading about this conversation is that there is big money that is driving these decisions. And as you say, if you can't get access to the money to build something of old technology or reliable technology, then you can get money to build new technology. But also many of the people who we see so regularly on our television, read all the time in the papers, constantly tell us what to do, they're going to make a lot of money out of this. Yet that never seems to matter. Why is it in every other policy area, if an advocate stands to make money out of a decision, that normally puts an asterisk next to the objectivity of their opinion, but not so in this?
This is driven by feel-good from politicians who want to appear to be doing something, and corporations are really doing two things. One, trying to satisfy a public demand that they do something, and there's a lot of money on the way through. The transition from policy to corporate adventurism has well and truly been made. I think some of the strongest analysis I read this week in the Wall Street Journal was, look, leaders across the world are starting to apply the brakes to this transition because they can see the cost, but they might have left it too late. The corporate sector has grabbed the bull by the horns, and they're going to be very hard to turn around.
Yeah, that's just my issue here, right? Which is just to be honest with people about what that cost of transition is, because poll after poll will tell us that, yes, I understand climate change, but they also understand where Australia sits compared to China, all the rest of it here. Graham, nice to talk to you, mate. Let's continue to do so between now and the next election. Do appreciate it.